In this lesson, we're going to explore do action in WordPress core. Now, WordPress core refers to the code that runs WordPress, the code that it uses to run itself. And like I mentioned, we'll see do action all over the place. Now, what I'd like to encourage you to do is try searching for do action within WordPress core yourself. Download a fresh install of WordPress, open the whole thing up in your code editor, and do a search all for do action. Take a chance now to try this on your own, and then I'll walk through a few things that we could learn from doing this process. So what I have here is a fresh install of WordPress, not one I've been working with, one I just downloaded, and I'm going to open up the Command-Shift-F or Find in Project feature, and I'm going to simply search for do action. This will take a second to run, and what we're going to see is that it found nearly 900 examples of do action executing across 161 files in this current downloaded version of WordPress. Now, what this means is that most of these are going to be action hooks. So we have one activate header, activate WP head, admin init, admin footer, admin in queue scripts, and all of these are inside of files that control different parts of WordPress. So as we scroll through, we'll begin to get an idea of what different files there are in WordPress, as well as what different hooks are being executed where. I'm going to scroll down through some of these to come to some examples that may make more sense if you're just starting out. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the post file. So if I come down, until I find WP includes /post. Now this controls a lot of things that happen when you're editing or saving a post. And we could see here we have a bunch of things like before you delete a post, when you delete a post, after a post has been deleted, and then an after delete post, as well as trashed, untrashed, etc. So if you've ever used WordPress, you can imagine things happen when you click delete post. Now what you may have not thought about is that there are hooks within WordPress that allow you to execute your own code when this occurs. And not just when it occurs, but it looks like right before it, as it's happening, and then after it in this case of delete post. So if I were to click into one of these, we could see where in WordPress core the do action call for delete post is. We could also see that because of the environment where it's in, which we'll look at in a moment, it's also making post ID available. So if we ever hooked into delete post, we could get post ID. Now let's look around a little bit and try to make sense of where this is happening and what's going on. We could see right after this action hook is set up that we have WP database delete being called. So it looks like this is the line where WordPress is actually calling the delete. And then if we scroll down, we could see there's another action hook, deleted post. Now in the case of both delete post and deleted post, nothing is happening here, but WordPress is giving you as a plugin or theme developer the opportunity to do something around when this is occurring. If we were to scroll up a bit and find what function we're inside of, we could see there are other do actions along the way. And ultimately, we come up and find that we're inside of a function called WP delete post. So somewhere in WordPress, when you click the delete button, this function gets called, and then somewhere within that function is our do action, allowing us to execute our own code when delete post action is called. Now, in addition to searching for do action, we could also search for add action as well. This will tell us everything in WordPress that is hooking into an existing action. And one of the cool things about the way WordPress is built is that all of the do action calls are not just for third-party developers exclusively. WordPress itself relies on its own hooks to build itself up. So if we come back into our WordPress file here and we search for add action, we could see that it found more than 500 examples across 80 plus files of WordPress hooking in to its own action hooks. Again, the pattern here is whatever do action hook you want to hook into, followed by the function you want to call. So when add action WP header or WP head is called, do activate header is activated. We could see that there are ones for admin menu, and as we scroll down, we'll see lots of examples of WordPress core itself hooking in to its own hook system. Now let's drill down and look at one specifically. Let's look at admin head. So let's find every instance where something in WordPress is hooking into the DoAction admin head. We could see it happens across a range of different files, and it's calling a number of different things that are going to be executed. Now, this might lead you to wonder, well, what is admin head? Where does that occur? I could see what's hooked into it, but how do I know what's going on when it happens? So if I simply search now instead for DoAction admin head, I'll find where in the source code admin head is executed. So if we scroll up from here, we could see a lot of different DoActions, and in fact, admin print styles, admin enqueue scripts, and if you remember, we've used enqueue scripts on the front end. We'll look at admin enqueue scripts in plugin development in a little bit later. However, it should begin to make sense that this is being executed somewhere when WordPress spits out the head of the admin area. And now we see actual HTML in there. We see some enqueuing of styles. And finally, if we scroll up to the top of the page, it'll tell us this is the WordPress administrator template header. So this is actually a template file within WordPress that is going to be used to build out the header section of the admin area. So it makes sense that we have a series of functions being called, we have some conditionals being run, and then we also have a bunch of hooks for WordPress to use whenever it wants to spit something out into the header of a site. Now, this may seem a little overwhelming or kind of a flurry right now, but I want to make a very important point about hooks. Now is the time in your WordPress development learning when you read more core WordPress code. When we're just building themes and writing our own stuff to determine how the WordPress functions are executed or displayed on our site, that's one thing. But hooks literally involve the inner workings of WordPress. So we need to get comfortable being able to dig under the hood, find out where a DoAction is taking place, find out what other action hooks are plugged into it, and then determine how we can hook into that section if it is indeed the right hook for us to hook into. We may find as we're exploring WordPress core that there are other hooks that we want to be hooking into instead. With just the example of the deleting a post action hook, we saw that there are a few different versions of it depending on whether you want to execute your code before or after that post is actually deleted. So at this point, please do not go forward with the course until you've spent some time, even an hour or so, if not more, exploring DoAction hooks and add action hooks. Now, you might not make sense of everything in there, but I can guarantee that just by looking at file names and scrolling around, some things are going to begin to make sense. So don't think you need to understand all the PHP. If you could just begin to understand generally where a hook is happening, and then generally what other type of things are hooking into them, if any, that is a huge win right now. So take a break, download and install of WordPress, and start running searches through it for DoAction and add action and drilling into WordPress core a bit more deeply.